drawing supplies that you will be using when you're beginning drawing. Now I have most of the supplies laid out here in front of me, but those that I don't have, I will insert images of them so that as you're going to the art supply store, as you're looking online for art supplies, you have some familiarity and some idea of what those are, how they're used, why you would need them. So let's start with our drawing tools. I recommend having a variety of graphite pencils. The ones that I use the most are 2B, 4B, and 8B, and you can always find the label of your pencil along the bottom edge there. So I like these. They're the softer pencils, and HB is also nice. It's a little harder than these three. I don't use it as much, but it's a good general sketching pencil. And you can purchase pencils individually, or you can just buy a drawing pencil set, and it will have a wide variety for you. If they have sets that are hard and soft, I would recommend getting a soft drawing pencil set. I find soft pencils far more useful than hard pencils. So that's our graphite. Charcoal is the next thing that we will be using. So charcoal also comes in pencil form. I have two charcoal pencils here. I have a medium and a dark. Sometimes charcoal pencils will be labeled hard and soft as well, just like graphite pencils. And in that case, I like the medium and soft charcoal pencils. Other forms of charcoal, you want compressed charcoal or a charcoal stick. This is another charcoal stick. And you want vine charcoal. So I have a really fat, big piece of vine charcoal. Normally it's really skinny and long, but the thing that makes it vine charcoal isn't the shape that it's in, but it's its density. This is so lightweight. It's far larger than this piece of charcoal, but this piece is a lot heavier than this piece. This weighs nothing. So vine charcoal is used for sketching. Because it isn't very dense, it doesn't stick or grip to your paper, so it's easily erasable, but you actually don't even need an eraser. You can just kind of wipe it off with your hand and it disappears. Conte Crayon, a white Conte Crayon, is also useful. They come in stick form and pencil form, but I like the little sticks. I like to be able to break them so I can use them on their side or use them on an edge as a point. Another form of charcoal that I don't have in front of me is paper wrap charcoal. It's also called Peel and Sketch. That's a brand of charcoal, and it looks like a really fat charcoal pencil, and it has a little string on the end that you pull to unwrap it. So the paper unwraps, hence paper wrapped or Peel and Sketch charcoal. The paper wrap charcoal is very nice because it gives you, it's like this middle ground between the stick and the pencil. It's a fatter, thicker drawing tool, but it still allows the control that a pencil form gives you. The next thing I want to look at are pens and markers. So for pens, we don't want to use like ballpoint writing pens in our artwork. So I have here a Micron pen. Micron is a really great and popular brand of pens that's archival ink. My Micron's very small. It's a 005. See if you can see how small that is. I really like this Schneider top liner pen right now. It's a 0.4, and I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thickness. I use it all the time. And then I also have this like felt pen. It's a little thicker, kind of brush-like. Another tool I use a lot that's not in front of me are the, Blick makes a brand of them, I think, but Prismacolor makes them. They're the dual-sided black markers. So on one side, you've got a big, fat chisel tip marker, and on the other side, you have a fine point. So it's wonderful. It's a 2-in-1 drawing tool. The other thing I don't have in front of me for ink is India ink. India ink comes in small vials. If you can't find India ink, a black acrylic ink is nice as well. We don't use the ink directly out of the container. It's a small container, it's extremely concentrated. So having little dishes or little cups to pour some of the ink in order to dilute it, even one of those little plastic shallow watercolor palettes can be very useful. And then I just use watercolor brushes with my ink. I have a variety of brush ends here, and watercolor brushes are the brushes with very soft bristles. Okay, the last item of drawing tools are erasers. And it's very nice to have a variety of erasers. So here I have several erasers. We'll move those up. This is it's a kneaded eraser. It's brand new, so it's still rectangular, but it's basically like a putty eraser, and you can wad it up into a ball, and it's really great for lifting and lightening areas of charcoal. White vinyl erasers are wonderful for fully lifting your material from your page. They work on charcoal and graphite. And then detail erasers. I have two different types of detail erasers. This is my favorite. It's a Papermate Tough Stuff eraser stick. And it's a little skinnier than the other eraser sticks that I have found. I like that it's retractable. You can buy the inner eraser replacements, and it's still nice and small. My other eraser, and I actually have not used this yet, this is brand new, is an eraser in pencil form. So this is eraser on the end, and you sharpen it, and you have a very detail fine point eraser. Some other miscellaneous items related to your drawing tools, a pencil sharpener. So I really like this pencil sharpener that has both the larger and smaller hole. I also really like that this one, you squeeze it and you can sharpen your pencils, and then you unsqueeze it and it holds your shaving bits and it can't accidentally spill out, and then it pulls apart to empty it in the trash. So I really like the pencil erasers that store your shavings. And another sort of miscellaneous tool is drafting tape. Now, drafting tape looks a lot like masking tape, but it's intended for paper so that it's more gentle and can be lifted back up from your paper. But there will be times when you want to secure your paper down on a surface so that it's not moving around on you while you're working, and drafting tape is great for that. When you lift drafting tape back up off of your paper, when you're done drawing, it comes off even more easily if you use a hair dryer. Just kind of give it a little bit of heat and to loosen up that adhesive, and then it'll pull right off. Let's look at paper. For the most part, we'll be using 18 by 24 inch drawing paper, so it's a little larger than either of these pads. It's more the size of this board. But when we're looking at paper, we want to be aware of the weight of that paper. So if you look at these two drawing pads, this is a cheap craft pad. It even says Great Crafts with the price printed right on it. So this is not high quality paper. And if we look at the weight of this paper, this is 50-pound paper. So it's a very lightweight paper. It says lightweight. This drawing pad claims to be mixed media, but it's 80 pounds. So right here we can see 80 pounds. And that's actually what I recommend for regular drawing paper. Mixed media claims that it can hold watercolor and wet media as well, and it will to some extent. I like a little bit thicker paper for that, but 80-pound paper is great for drawing paper. In contrast, here I have oil painting paper, and if we look at this paper, it is 215 pounds, so a lot heavier weight because it needs to hold oil paint, which is a lot heavier of a surface. So you can kind of see that is really heavy paper in there. When we work with drawing paper, we rarely want to work in our drawing pad. I know it's really tempting, especially with a spiral bound pad, to just flip it over and work from this surface. The issue with that is that there's all of this soft paper underneath, creating a kind of cushioned surface. So it really interferes with your drawing and your techniques. Always take your paper out of your drawing pad. I love the spiral bound drawing pads that are perforated so that I don't have to worry about cutting off the spiral edge because it's nasty and you don't want it on your drawing. So you can just take off the paper on the perforated edge, and then on your drawing board, clip it to your hard surface, and now you've got a really good solid backing for your drawing, and you won't run into those issues when you're basically drawing on a cushion. The other thing you'll want is a 24-inch metal ruler. We want it 24 inches because our paper is 24 inches on the longest side. And I like the metal rulers for drawing because you're going to get charcoal, you're going to get graphite on them, and metal rulers wipe clean. You can take a wet rag and you can wipe them clean. A wooden ruler or a yardstick just holds all that dirt and filth, and then it's going to transfer it on your paper. Every time you lay this down on a white piece of paper, if you have a dirty ruler, it will get dirt on your page. The drawing pad paper is great for everyday drawings, but sometimes you want a nicer paper or a thicker paper for a nicer or more serious drawing. The thick drawing paper that I really like that can hold a lot of material, a lot of charcoal, is sturdy and just feels very nice is Stonehenge. Now I think it's actually made to be a printmaking paper, but it's a wonderful drawing surface. So I really recommend Stonehenge paper, especially for subtractive charcoal drawings where we're going to be heavily working the surface with charcoal and going into that drawing a lot with an eraser. Another type of paper that we'll want to use is toned paper, and toned just means that it already has a value. It's not white paper. So gray or tan are great toned paper. Color paper is toned paper too, but a middle gray, a middle tan are wonderful in practicing with drawing on toned paper, where you can use both your charcoal or your graphite, but you can go back into it with that white Conte to bring out all of those highlights. Now the very last thing I want to talk about is spray fixative. If we want our drawings to be long lasting and to not accidentally smudge or smear those drawings, we want to fix the surface of them. So there are many companies that make different types of spray fixatives to help your drawing adhere to your paper. There's workable fixative so that you can spray it as you're working between drawing sessions, especially if you're going to transport it from one place to another. And then there are sort of final fixatives that are not reworkable. Once you spray it, it is adhered to the paper. You cannot go back in anymore with charcoal or graphite. I actually prefer using those. I find that the workable fixative, even though I can still work back into it, it never feels quite the same. So I prefer just being very careful with my drawings, and when they're all finished, giving them a very light coat of a final matte fixative. So let me know if you have any questions about drawing supplies as you are go about your shopping or online searching, and I'll be happy to answer those. Thanks.